If you're looking to get into property investing and you think you're going to make a shitload of money, then please watch this video, because if you don't, you'll end up being very disappointed. You'll end up hating property, thinking it no longer works. But it's all because you didn't know about the brutal truth about property, something no one talks about, but I'm going to reveal in this video. So the reason why I'm making this video is because I wish a video like this existed before I started investing in property, because throughout my property journey, I've got a portfolio of 20 properties now. There's a lot of things I've learned and there's a lot of things I wish I hadn't done. And a lot of these things I did is because I listened to someone or listened to a lot of people who I thought were experts at the time. Maybe they've got an agenda, maybe that's what they thought, and maybe this is just my beliefs. But hopefully I'm going to be able to give you a bit more context and explain why I think some of these things are true or not about property. The first thing is that if you are broke right now, you shouldn't buy property. And I know a lot of people, they always say, and don't get me wrong, property is not one of the, property is the best investment you can get over the long term. But the key two words that I've used are, it's an investment and it's over long term. If you're broke right now, and when I mean broke, I'm loosely talking, it's someone who's living paycheck to paycheck. It's someone who's barely got any money after they've paid all their bills and after their paycheck comes in at the end of the month. If you are broke and you're that kind of person, then property investment should not be on your radar. And the reason why that is, let me just give you an example so you really understand what I'm trying to say here. This is going to be a hypothetical example, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. So this is what most broke people do who do not have the information or knowledge. Okay, what they'll do is they'll save up years and years and years to buy a property. So let's just say it's taken you 5 years to save up £50,000, which is pretty good, which is £10,000 saved in a year, right? Most people can't do that, but let's just say, conservatively speaking, you manage to save £50,000 and you can now buy a property. You can pay the 25% deposit, you can refurb it and pay the stamp duty. So all your costs £50,000. Okay, so you buy a property, £50,000, and then at the end of it, give or take, you'll probably make cash flow at best £250 to £300. Okay, let's just say £300 just to be conservative again. So £300 monthly cash flow, and then if you times that by 12, which is a year, you'll get a yearly cash flow of 3,600 a year. And this is what I'm trying to get at. Now imagine it's taken you 5 years with a lot of discipline, a lot of sacrifices, no going out, no nothing, and you manage to save up £50,000. At the end of it, you've got a cash flow of £3,600 yearly. Do you think that was worth it for you in the short term? Or let's just go even one step further. Do you think that you'll be able to get rich off that one property? And if your answer is no, you are absolutely correct, because now let's just go one step further. In that 3,600, you're going to have maybe a repair or two. So that 3,600 now becomes £2,000 yearly. Now tell me, is that going to change your life? Absolutely not. And this is why I'm saying that if you are broke right now, property investment shouldn't be the strategy you should go in for, because property investment is a good multiplier of money. And when I mean multiplier, I mean like if you're a level 5, it's going to get you to level 10 quicker. Level 10 to 20, it's going to accelerate your growth though. But if you're a level 0, level 1 where you broke, you shouldn't be thinking about growing your money. You should be thinking of how to make money. So rather than property investing, you need to think of focusing on your active income, the thing that you get cash now, whether it's increasing a 9 to 5 salary, starting a side hustle or business. These things is what's going to increase your income. And then once you have the income, then you can start thinking about property investing. But right now, if you're broke, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you haven't got that much money, 1 or 2 properties, as you've already seen with the numbers, that's not going to change your life in the short term. Can you get rich off 1 or 2 properties in the long term? Absolutely. But that's the long term. When you're broke, you haven't got that many years to wait. You need to take action now. You need something to work now, or as close as possible, not 5-10 years like property investing is. So my number one advice is that if you haven't got the money right now, yeah, you can raise investor finance. Of course you can do that, but that's a different skill set. But it's the same problem. You're still going to be able to make the same kind of money, whether it's your money or somebody else's. Just because you've raised somebody else's money, that doesn't mean the property's going to make you more money, right? You're still going to be making this kind of money. And I know a lot of people will now argue that yes, you can have a HMO or service accommodation. Even with service accommodation HMO, you probably make 1,000 cash flow a month or even 1,500, again, it's not going to change your life that quickly, is it? And even HMOs or service accommodation, they need money, which you haven't got. So before growing your money, learn to increase your money.
We'll get back to the video in a few seconds, but 70% of you watching this video aren't subscribed to my channel. Please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button and buy more properties in the next few months. I'll be sharing everything so you can learn from my mistakes for free. Anyways, back to the video.
So the second one is something that I unfortunately fell a victim of, which is the C word, which is cash flow. Now, there are so many people who say that cash flow is king. You should aim for cash flow. In fact, Grant Cardone, one of the guys who I really rate, right? What he's done is amazing. And there's not just Grant Cardone. There's so many people who talk about cash flow is king, cash flow is king. But after buying 20 properties now, I've actually realized that cash flow isn't really king. And the reason why that is because I now have 20 properties, and I understand that the cash flowing strategy that I'm going for, buy-to-lets, is really not that much. But the reality is that I have 20 properties now. Out of those 20 properties, conservatively speaking, my portfolio generates like £7,000 cash flow, which is a lot of money, which is good money for most people. I understand that. But it's taken me a lot of capital to be able to get to that £7,000 cash flow. Right, so let's just say I'm making £7,000 cash flow. It's taken me, I'd say, give or take, probably close to 500k now of my own money. So if it's taken me £500,000 to generate £7,000 a month cash flow, let me now flip this aside here. I also have a deal sourcing business. Last year, we made £1 million in revenue, and so that's £1 million cash flow. It took us nowhere near £500,000 to get set up. It probably cost us about £10,000 to set up. So the point I'm trying to say is that if you're optimizing, or if cash flow is your strategy, then property investment is probably not a good route to go down, because there are many other ways where you can get paid cash flow with less capital required. And I've given you my example with deal sourcing, but it doesn't have to be deal sourcing. Maybe you can start in property, you can start a rent to rent, you can start managing properties, because those kind of things, or you can even start a cleaning business for Airbnb. But the point is, a property business will make you a lot more cash flow than your portfolio will, if done correctly. And the beauty with starting a property business, like, you know, the ones that I've just talked about, is that apart from your time and a few other setup costs, there's not that much initial capital required. So if you want to get into property for property investing for the long-term appreciation, yes, you should go there. But if you think that property investment is the best way to get cash flow, then you're wrong. So number 3 is passive income. Let me start off by one thing. Is passive income more passive than a 9 to 5? Yes. Is passive income more passive than a business that are, you know, these property businesses that I've just talked about? Absolutely. But is property actually 100% passive? No way. And the reason why I say that is because even if you've got systems in place, like I have systems in place now, I don't manage the refurbs, I don't manage my properties, I've got a solicitor, I've got a broker, so I've got a power team now that allows me to leverage their time and expertise to make my investments as passive as possible. Keyword as possible, because in property, nothing is truly passive, right? Because there's always something come up. There's always maybe a tenant leaving. Maybe there's always a repair. So you still have to be reactive to these things. And another key thing that most people don't talk about is that in order for your property to remain passive, it needs to be kept up to a good standard. So it's not just set and forget that you refurb the property once, you never have to refurb again. That's nonsense. In 2, 3, 4, 5 years time, there will be some repairs. You need to, maybe in 10 years time, get a new kitchen and so on. You get the point. The point is that in order for that property or that asset to remain passive, you have to stay on top of it. You have to put additional money and time in. Even if it's not your time, even if you're hiring contractors, there is still time exchanged, right? For that to be passive. So if you really want something truly passive, then maybe you should go for ETFs, index funds, or even the stock market, even crypto. I don't invest in crypto. I invest in ETFs, right? So I've seen both sides now. I invest in property, I invest a lot in property, and I invest in ETFs. If you ask me what's the most passive, then I would not even say property. I would say it's stocks and ETFs, because that is literally set and forget. Once you buy it, either it grows or either it goes up, right? In most cases, it'll go up over time, because you don't literally have to do nothing. There's no repairs, there's no leaky showers, there's nothing like that. But what I do love about property compared to like these ETFs, and that's why I continue to invest in it, because number one, over long term, it does appreciate a lot more than the stock market, because you know that saying prices double after every 10 years. I don't know how true that is, but the point is it does go up in value. And then also you can refinance against a property over time, so you can also pull out additional equity. This is why I also in love with property. And another thing why I love property over these a lot more passive investments is because with property you have more control over it. You can add value to it by an extension of kitchen, by refurbing the property, adding a kitchen, loft extension, garage conversion. You don't have any control over the other passive investments like crypto, stock market and ETFs and so on. If you're looking for complete passive income, property is not the one, guys. And number 4, and hopefully some of you probably already know this, but if you don't already, sorry to disappoint you, that property isn't a get rich quick scheme. Because if you fundamentally think about it, I don't know if you watch any of my previous videos, I always talk about that to make true money in property, you have to add value to the property, right? You can either do that by buying below market value, or you can by adding value by doing a refurb extension and so on. So think about it, if that's the way, the real way to make money from property, by adding value like BRRR, buy, refurb, rent and refinance. For you to buy a property, refurb a property, rent it out and refinance, that whole cycle can take you anything between 6 to 12 months from the initial purchase to the refinance when the money comes back to your bank account. So that's one property and 1 year. Let's just say hypothetically speaking it's taking you 6 months. That's still a long time, and even after that 6 months the cash flow, as we already know, is not that great. So what does that mean? Then why is property so great? Property is great over the long term when the prices go up. So again, it comes back to the same thing. If you're looking to get quick wins immediately, if you're looking to replace your 9-to-5 income, if you want to quit your 9-to-5, you hate your boss and you want to go on more holidays, you need to be focusing on a property business, not a property investment. The final thing, hopefully I haven't put you off property. Hopefully you actually now understand that yeah, you can make a lot of money in property, but that happens over time. So if that is the case, what is the real blueprint to making real money quickly and over long term, right? Because you can't have both, and this is what I'm going to show you. So before I talk about thing, you probably heard where people say, oh, the richest people are always property investors, or they've got property, or you know, they have some property in their portfolios. That is true, but if you then start drilling down into these millionaires, billionaires, if you look at them, most of them didn't actually make their money from property. Most of them made their money through another income, another business, and then they put that money into assets or property. Even if you look at Jeff Bezos, I think he's one of the biggest landlords now. Bill Gates is one of the biggest farm owners or something like that. But the point is, they've got a lot of assets now. They've got one of the most biggest portfolios. But how did they make their money? They made their money through Microsoft, Amazon, and this is literally the blueprint to anyone who's wealthy that I see, that they make their money through one business and so on, and then they start investing in property. I'm the perfect example of this. I started my business career. I started an e-com business in 2013. I scaled that to 10 million pounds in sales, and then I started investing in property. You don't obviously have to have a business of that magnitude, but the point is you need something which will help accelerate your property growth quicker. So let me show you this picture. So this is literally my blueprint, and for me, if you look, it all starts from the top. I make money from my deal sourcing business, okay, right at the top, and we're doing pretty good, right? We made £1 million last year, so I'm obviously making money, and the money then I then invest it into buy-to-lets. Once I have the buy-to-lets, that gives me passive income. I'll put passive, let's just say passive as possible, and then it's that passive income that lets me have the disposable income to live the life I want, to buy anything I want, to run my own schedule, to go on holidays. You get the idea. The reason why you should understand this is because yes, a property business is very important to make you the money to be able to grow that property, but the reality is when I speak to most people, they want to, you know, spend more time with the kids, they want to go on more holidays. You can't do that without property, right? So you know you need property, so the only thing that you're missing right now is that property income. And for you, it doesn't have to be deal sourcing. You can start any other side, so it doesn't need to be property related. But the point is, if you want to make real money, you need to just copy the blueprint of all the richest people, and they started businesses, they had incomes that they invested into property. Most of these people, 95% of people, just property investors. Even I am not just a property investor. I have a property business and I invest into property. And guys, if you just follow this blueprint, whether you start your own business or even like if you've got a really good job, right, you upskill yourself, you make a lot of money. That's where the real money is, because then you've got the income side of things sorted, so you're not broke, and then you've got the long-term wealth generation. So then you've got the money and then you can multiply it. I hope you found value from this video. If you want to learn more about deal sourcing, how you can use that to actively increase your income, then I'm going to pull up this video at the side. Go watch that. You're going to get lots of more valuable nuggets, and I'll see you in the next video.